Body, mind, and spirit. 3 factors that are crucial to living a healthy, happy life. We're here to help your mind and spirit. Now, let someone help your body. Ember Athletics provides personalized and comprehensive online programs you can use anywhere in the world at any time you want. I use them to prepare for my wedding, but they can help with so much more. Whether that's training for an event or challenge, getting your beach body, improving your health, or just about anything else. Ember Athletics customizes programs for your body, your health, your goals. Let Ember Athletics know you heard about them on this podcast, and you'll get a discount when you sign up for a program. For more information, go to www.emberathleticsofficial.com. That's EMBER athleticsofficial.com. Or you can call and text Chad, the head coach, at 602-628-9305. Welcome to Psychic Evolution with evidential psychic medium Jamie Clark and spiritual coach and healer Maggie Clark.
And welcome back to another episode of Psychic Evolution. I'm Jamie Clark.
And I'm Maggie Clark, and this is the podcast where you discover the psychic potential within to empower yourself and manifest your psychic and mediumship gifts.
And these abilities are so natural, they're supernatural. And today we want to get into some soul merging with mediumship. Merging and blending of life experiences with another soul.
In what capacity do we merge with another being or another dimension or another frequency and pull that into who we are, especially when we're doing mediumship?
And in this experience, this mediumship I've been doing my whole life. And for that, I have had so many experiences, so many ways of passing through mediumship experiences that I have connected with. This is my last life here on this beautiful planet. We're here to make the transition and expansion and then off to other adventures.
Definitely not my last life here. I intend to come back and really help with the expansion of consciousness of humanity, whatever form that takes. So on a soul frequency, I'm super, super dedicated to humanity.
As am I. It's the divine timing. Because we're here and then we go to other worlds. We integrate. And, I think that that's a great thing is when Mag and I can do this together, these adventures, not only does it nourish our souls, but it encompasses the everlasting beingness of who we are and another experience that's tremendously soul validating and for myself. Now, in being able to make these connections in mediumship, I also like to make sure that people know some of the parameters that I deal with in these experiences. With the mediumship, I'm tapping into other soul prints of consciousness, basically your loved ones. And when I'm doing a mediumship session, a lot of times I will be directly given through firsthand experience that circumstance that particularly took that person's life. I have died so many ways in this lifetime through the mediumship. Again, that way there is no I shoulda, coulda. It's like, nope, I've already done it. And now let's move on to the next adventure. Because in being able to help humanity to help themselves, this is going to be a much more empowered, self-realized place to experience.
So what do you mean about died so many times? What exactly does that mean to a medium?
My point is, on average, we usually have one way of dying that ends this particular life. Through the mediumship and the soul mergings that I've experienced, I am firsthand, I am seeing through their eyes, feeling through their body and the energy of everything that's going on. It's an amazing experience. And in some of these ways of passing, there was a person that I was doing some remote viewing for, and it was a person who was coming to me who had a loved one who was missing and didn't know where the heck they were. So they were calling me, and I was targeting, doing the best I can to do some remote viewing. And I was being drawn to a desert area, but I was given like a 5-mile distance, one of apparently where this person was said that they had left or been dropped off, and two, the reality that 5 miles down the road was really where they were. And it was fascinating because as I was being shown this, I went into this other person's experience. Like I'm looking through my big head and eyeballs and all that is exactly what I was doing with this other soul print, their life experience. And I could feel the dehydration. I could feel the sand, the dirt, the roughness of some of the brush that I would walk by. And it was a very surreal experience because not only was it the physical experiences, but it became the emotional experiences. I'm out there on my own. There's nobody around except for maybe wolves or mountain lions or whatever the heck is there. And it's been a very empowering experience because in being able to vibe with these soul prints of consciousness, this energy, this merging, and to not only have my experience of that way of passing so that I don't have to go through it in another lifetime, I've already done it, but that it can also help their loved ones make that connection stronger. Now, for myself, that particular remote viewing that I was doing for the person in the desert, they found her. And she was pretty much in the positioning of where I shared that she would be. And she gets the credit. I was just tapping in. And a number of people come to me and look for people that are missing. There are many different ways. And that's why I'm like, if I get something, I'll give it. If not, I will not make it up. But in this other particular dynamic, there was a person who was on a boat. And this person had disappeared. And they did find the boat. It had washed up. Well, as we were tapping in, I started picking up some information. I started connecting with the soul print, that person who was connected to that experience. And, through personalities and circumstances, more evidential information. Then I was shown, I was on this boat, standing there, and I had these other people behind me. They pushed me off the boat. There were sharks in the water. I literally was eaten to death by sharks. It was freaking crazy. I could feel the gnawing of their teeth and the way that they would shake. It was a very, very weird kind of an experience. And I'm very thankful. I'm very honored and humbled because the great thing is I don't have to go all through these again because I've already done it. I've gotten that experience firsthand.
Well, I am assuming for mediumship that you don't necessarily express all of the details in a reading to someone of what you're feeling, because that could really be hard on the loved ones that are here wanting to make their connection. How do you handle that?
It is knowing what to say and how to say it, because that is a soul connection. You are dealing with a very powerful energy. And in doing that, I am always respectful. I am always appreciative and fairly well tuned to make sure I deliver those messages effectively. That way, there is no connection to that fear, that loneliness, or because that'll take that other person that I'm reading for down that lane to go, oh my goodness. And it's not about that. It's about getting the healing that their loved ones are great, that they're the ones giving me the information. I'm like, right, we said it first. We're psychic mediums. That's the point.
I'm sure the loved ones on the other side that are connecting also give some other information. You're very tactful when you deliver that message or the intensity of some of these situations. Now, the loved ones on the other side, how do they follow it up? They'll let you experience like soul merge and experience how they passed, but how do they follow that up so that their loved ones feel better about this whole situation of receiving a mediumship reading?
Well, because it is crazy, cool, and scary and empowering. But within that, it's also the realization to go, they're the very ones who gave me that information. They're also the very ones that are still communicating with me to give me the information to give to you. And so they are in a great place. And I always say that anybody who comes through to me in mediumship is only on the good channel, or I do not exist. I don't hope I'm safe. I know. Because in doing this, if you don't have a knowingness about this, you'll have a lot of, I hope it, yeah, frick that. I'm going to keep it solid and comfy. Now, when you can experience these and be in it, but not necessarily of it, that becomes a soul wrap for me to go, each one of those experiences is the ability to merge with my beingness, that Solidex as an eternal being. So not only am I living my life of experience, but I'm gaining the experiences from others, their own life experience, individualized, and yet we're all interconnected. And when we can start to build upon those, and their loved ones know the accuracy of the circumstance and the personalities and all of that, it does put the bigger picture, it puts it all together to go, they are great because they're still talking right now. I'm like, yeah, exactly. It's just but a thought away. And that mental telepathy, that mental mind connection is a big thing, because the more that I do this with the mediumship, I'm also working on my psychic. Psychic and mediumship are the same thing. The only difference is psychic read is in the physical body, mediumship read is out of the physical body. Both are soul prints of consciousness. Having to know when to make the details known and when not to. Because there have been times where in some readings, there was information that needed to be attained, if possible, from, in this case, the murderers of this particular person. And within that, one of them, I was shown a person who was taken out, killed, murdered. And it was by a group of people, an organization, so to speak. And I gave insight and information about the dynamics, and it was understood, and the personalities and all that kind of stuff was accurate. But then they also showed me, in connection with one of these people who took their life, that there was a tattoo on the finger. And on the middle finger, it was like a spider web, and it went around with a loop on the inside. I'm like, that's pretty friggin' specific. So I shared, and it was a very simplified tattoo, apparently, because that's all I was picking up. Well, as things went along, and a little ways down the road, they found the people. And one of them had a tattoo, and it was on the middle finger. And it was exactly the way that it was shown. That was amazing. Again, I'm not there physically. Metaphysically, I'm being shown all of this. Not only was I seeing it through that person's consciousness, their soul print of the experience, but also I was seeing the other people connected to that experience. I was now picking up their energy, not only in a mediumship way of experience, but now in a psychic way. Because once I tapped into that tattoo, I had that person's soul print of consciousness. Now we could follow that tattoo vibe and see what other information we get and who they're connected to. And so it was really cool, because it took a little while, but through the dynamics and the way that things played out, they got the validation. That was the loved ones who weren't physically here, but were metaphysically giving the characteristics and information. And then for it to physically play out, to go, that's crazy. Because on average, I don't think I've seen many people with a web finger thing on there. And exactly, I'm like, yeah, but what does that tell you? And it came to a point where they were doing all of the searching and everything, but weren't coming up with anything. The family never knew if they were ever still alive, whatever happened in any way. They decided to go to a psychic medium and see if that person could pick something up. And they came to me. And in being able to give them that information, not only to realize that their loved one is in a great place and doing phenomenally, it brought closure to the experience. It brought harmony, love, and empowerment back to the family that never knew. They never had a clue until things played out. So that's why I always say, please, please always be skeptical, question everything, just be open, get the practicality of spirituality. And when you can have these experiences and get the empowerment to not only help others, but help myself, that's brilliant. I love it. And I don't have to go through everything again. It's all one.
We want to really dig into this soul merging concept because this is really palpable for psychics and for mediums both. When you're doing a psychic reading, sometimes this happens as well. Like you're experiencing or you're feeling exactly what someone's feeling in their life so that you have some clarity of the energy dynamics around it. I do that a ton in my readings because you can't help but be perceptive. And your psychic senses, once they're on, they're just turned on. We can work with the volume and we can work with those senses and have rules and regs around it. But once those senses are really turned on, we are looking at feeling our way into a situation. And a lot of times it is so palpable. It's so real. And some of the experiences and the severity of experiences, obviously you're talking about a cold case file in your last experience. And maybe it wasn't necessarily cold for a long time, but there was enough dynamics there to make it so intense. But bringing the justice, bringing the harmony, bringing the closure to the family is so huge. So when you're soul merging, Jamie, I know how it feels to me, but in mediumship, does it feel different than psychic? Because you're now experiencing completely, or is it the exact same thing when you're tapping into someone's life experience and they're asking about a psychic read in the here and now? How is that for you?
It's the same thing. Because when I'm reading for somebody psychically, I'll pick up circumstances or potential dynamics in connection with that person. Sometimes people will come to me and ask me, well, what about my boss or my spouse or whoever it is? And I'll go through that person's energy field who's asking me about that person and go, okay, now I've got the target, a boss. In this case, I'm going to go through your energy field, pick up that boss's soul print of consciousness. It's unique. And I'll usually be very accurate with circumstances and dynamics and characteristics in the way they are. And on average, it'd be like, that's exactly right. And so being able to see and feel those circumstances already as an experience just by tapping into the person who's physically living before me and asking those questions is exactly how the other side gives me those insights and informations while living on the other side, because I never talk to the dead. There are none. Truly, I always say we live only one life, an eternal life. So it's within that connection that's why I say that psychic and mediumship are the same thing. The only difference is psychic read in the physical body, mediumship read is out of the physical body. And when you can begin to understand that they are dimensions and that you can be, in this case, I refer to myself as a matrix walker, but you'll be able to go through those dimensions and find yourself within life, not lose yourself to it. And the more that I've had these experiences, the more that I've connected with these beautiful souls, the more life I've found within myself, the more that I appreciate the people, the experiences, the dynamics in my life more effectively. And a lot of times from a more well-rounded perspective, through my mediumship experiences, through that soul growth and unification of all of these things happening to the one person who's doing it at the moment, me. That's the common denominator. We are all interconnected. And my job is do the best I can to show you that this is possible so you can do it for yourself. You've got this. Everybody is a psychic medium. Mag and I are honored to be here, and we will be on this journey with you as long as you would like.
Do you have a specific button to allow yourself to feel this information during a reading? Or is it just like when you're doing a reading, you're just open, like this is your parameter? Like if I'm doing a reading, yes, I'm allowing myself to soul merge.
Yep. And through the filtration, the boiler plastic bubble. That way I can experience everything, bring it in, and release it. It goes back. That way I'm not wearing anyone else's energy field, their consciousness, their experiences, any of that. It keeps me clean and cleared so that each time I dip in, I've got a completely new, clean, clear read. So in being able to experience these circumstances, the physical, metaphysical is one. I've seen so much where I'm connecting in mediumship with the soul print, and then they're showing me all the experiences and people they're connected to, which is the exact same thing that I pick up with people that are physically here in front of me. And that's why in doing this work, when we're connecting, you're on this vibe of psychic mediumship, which if you're even listening and open to this, you're vibing with it unconditionally. You're not made to in any way. It is unconditional. If you accept it, great. If not, great. It's perfect. It's what's aligned for you. That perspective is I need to stay aligned with myself in doing this work, because otherwise I could lose myself very easily. If anything, with all of these experiences, I have found more of myself, the understanding as that eternal being, and not just limited to this body or this planet.
We had an episode called Empathic Awakening. And in that episode, Jamie does discuss the boy in the plastic bubble, which is his way of pulling in and receiving information and then not holding on to it after reading. So I encourage you all to listen to that if you want to just gain a little bit of how he's doing this soul merging.
It's within that my parameters are already set. That's why I'm saying I've got the confidence to do this, not the cockiness. And it's the ability that, again, I'll always do the best I can, but I do it with what everyone has the ability to do. And the more that I share the energy and love with others, the more I'm sharing it with myself, man. It's a win-win. And that's another soulfulness and healing for me is with these soul mergings, with these life experiences, it has given me more life fullness with this connection. And the example of being the boy in the plastic bubble will help you tremendously with the soul merging, because it will allow you to interact, but not wear or pick up the other person's energy or challenges in a negative way. It will only be a positive, safe, productive experience. And being able to be that boy in the plastic bubble, that is also what kept me safe and sound when I was in Alcatraz. There was another experience that I got to blend dimensions, psychic and mediumship. I was at Alcatraz Island, the jail place. And I was with some people there, and we were doing the audio listening tours. So we'd walk around on our own, and we were guided by the audio. And it was really cool. And as we're walking through, there was a window that was facing San Francisco, and it was just an elongated rectangular window. But I could hear San Francisco. I could feel what those prisoners felt when it was completely alone at night, and that was their entertainment. You could hear cars, you could hear it was just crazy cool. And then I started picking up information about some of the inmates that were there and some of the circumstance. I'm like, whoa. And then another very interesting dynamic that became a psychic mediumship experience is when we were walking through, we came to a particular area where apparently some of the guards that worked there were overtaken by some of the inmates and placed in one of the cells, and one by one, they were killed. When we got to that area, mind sight, it was just there. I saw the officers in this jail cell, the gun, the stuff that was happening. It was crazy, weird, and cool. Because again, I know I'm physically here at that place, but metaphysically, I was vibing mental telepathy and mediumship, because it was a psychic and mediumship read, where I saw these guards being killed. Just like I see anything else, that was a mediumship and psychic experience, because it's all one. It's the residual energy that's there. And being able to connect with some of that information is a very interesting dynamic, because I could feel a lot of the other people's, the inmates, their soul print of consciousness, the energy of what they did, of what they thought, or how they sometimes thought about life and experience. And it's a very, very rewarding dynamic, because it allows me to understand even more effectively where people are coming from. I need to do the best I can to understand where they are so that I can communicate and talk with them, not just to them. And that ability of self-realization and communication, that not only does this help others, but it tremendously helps myself. I am so thankful.
A really interesting aspect of soul merging, which it's kind of like soul merging, but it's almost just dimensional merging, is when physical mediumship happens, when things manifest into this physical reality from the other side, or when things move, or when things get shifted. And it's almost like a dimensional merging, but it's also related to a soul print of consciousness. So in some aspects, it's a soul merging through a dimensional merging.
Getting into a little bit of the physical dynamics of mediumship, there have been a few times where physical objects in front of me, my big eyeballs could see it, and it moved without anybody touching it physically. We did a show called The Unknown, did a few episodes, a lot of fun, great time. And we were doing some readings for people. And in one of them, we were at a place and it was reading for a young lady. And we were sitting in the living room and she had a TV behind her up on a little shelf there. And there was a candle just sitting on top of it. And as we're making the connections and getting accurate, and yeah, that's it. That's exactly right. And when I had finished my sentence, that candle that was sitting on the TV, boom, it didn't fall. It was like it was pushed. Nobody physically touched that. I saw it. It was right in front of my big head. Now, not only that, but there's a lot of times that I have in my home where I work from that I have people record the sessions. And there have been a number of times where I have them place their recorder in front so that way they can hear my big face, as I always playfully say. There's a number of times where I've been doing the mediumship, and this particular person, in this case, was a grandma who we were connecting with. And as we did that, once we made that connection, the phone, in this case, that was recording literally pushed off the table and into the woman's purse. I was like, holy moly. Now, that tapped into something for me to go, well, wait a minute. If they're physically, in some way, metaphysically, physically pushing that phone, is there a recording of something that happened while it was recording? Was there a sound? Was there a vibe? Anything that could happen? Because in that split moment, I saw it physically pushed off. If it was recording, maybe there was something that could be recorded to that. That's why I say, as you know, I've got this insatiable hunger, man. I want to understand this stuff because the more I know, I don't know nothing. But if we can understand this the best that we can and share these perspectives, share these insights with you so that maybe it can help you in some way, or that you don't always have to go through the other stuff to get the knowledge of how to learn from it. I'm lazy, man. I don't need to go, hey, I need to put my hand in the fire to realize it won't be a good thing. Well, look at somebody else and go, hey, that makes sense. And I don't think I need to do that. Or that makes sense. And I think I'm going to do that. Being able to see other people's actions and learn from them, not through judgment, through understanding and compassion, but also through the mediumship of actions and reactions. It has given me a soul nourishment, insights, and empowerments to realize it's all about love, truly. As crazy as it is, love allows everything to be. It's all one. And until you have your own experience, like I'm very thankful I do, and I don't have to die to have it, or you do graduate, it is like the best mood that you have ever been in, the best meal that you have ever had. Every time I connect, my soul is full. Nothing is separate. It's all interconnected. That was freaking amazing. And each and every time I feel that, the words that come to me, who are you now? As that eternal being, that kind of energy that I feel when I've had those experiences are a connection to what I feel with the metaphysical experiences, the mediumship, the omnipresence of connection. We are all interconnected. And by making these connections, by bringing these soul prints through to make that connection with their loved ones, not only bridging the gap of mental and love and physical, but the metaphysical that is creating everything through consciousness. It's all energy. And the more that we can soul saunter through those, the stronger and the more vibrant we get, the more expanded. And again, being able to hold that energy vibe in this third dimensional physical body is a pretty big balancing act because it can only handle so much. So you got to integrate a little bit at a time sometimes.
So what I really want to hear, and I know our listeners want to hear, is an awesome, positive soul merging story of transition. So I want you to check into your Solodex, Jamie, for just a second. And what are the most amazing feelings that you get from the soul merging of mediumship about connecting to the other side?
And again, as much as it's been a challenge with the circumstances of passing for people, it's been a blessing for the connections of what they've experienced on the other side. There's been many, many, many experiences, and it is so beautiful to behold. One of them was a woman who had Alzheimer's and apparently wasn't clear for many things. And most of this person's family was on the other side. So the person who was coming to me knew that they had been in a hospital bed for a long time and just with the circumstances weren't able to make connections. And so it was very challenging, and because they thought that they died alone and that there was nobody and that they were probably alone now. And so I started tapping in and making those connections and picking up personalities and dynamics and characteristics. And they're like, yeah, that's them. That's exactly. Like, okay. In addition, what they're showing me is, in this case, it was the mother. She had apparently just turned to the side like that. And off to the side was Archangel Michael, standing there with love and compassion, not a warrior of destruction, love and compassion. It was amazing, amazing. And not only that, Archangel Michael, but then she started having her loved ones in the same area. So isn't it kind of interesting? All these different dimensions, angelic realm, the ascended master realm, extraterrestrials, all of these things are playing. We could literally blend dimensions to get the loved ones, Archangel Michael in this case. That was huge to feel his powerful love and compassion made sense to me, because for so long I would hear he was an angel of destruction and kill all darkness and all that. And I thought, okay, great. But in the back of my soul, I was always like, how is it possible that on the angelic realm of love and compassion, there's a murderer and a destroyer? That doesn't make sense. And Chi, my master guide, was like, well, Jamie, he's not an angel of destruction. He's an angel of love. And you will either vibe with that energy of love or you're not there. That is how we've come to see him as the warrior that is always successful with love and empowerment.
There's so many different ways that we can soul merge. And what that means is we're picking up on a soul print of consciousness, which in mediumship, this is one of your loved ones that has passed. In a psychic reading, it could be about your boss or your spouse or someone you're asking about. But what we do is we reach into that energy, and then sometimes, like Jamie, he's really good at just merging with that energy. He pulls that energy in, he merges with it on some level so he can actually feel entirely what that's like. And then, of course, when he's done, he lets go and lets it out. There are other ways of soul merging as well. Channeling is one of the examples of soul merging. And I like to really work with this with my higher self. This is a very comfortable way to start learning how to soul merge with energy, because you're working with yourself, which is a very, very comfortable and easy way to merge. Your higher self is a part of you. It might be a past life. It might be a guide. It might be a culmination or a conglomerate of many different lifetimes. Your higher self is going to be one of your main guides, and the main guide to help bridge you to the eternal nature of your oversoul. And this higher self of yours can easily be brought into your being. You can merge with this. And this is one of those mergings that you don't necessarily need a plastic bubble for, because it's who you are. So it's extremely comfortable and very, very safe to do. And so I would like to encourage all of you, if you're interested in learning how to experience the soul merge, start with yourself, because that's going to be a comfortable place. So one way to do the soul merging is, I definitely encourage you to listen to our episodes about meeting your master guide and going through the garden that Jamie takes you in to meet your master guide. Now, I want you to go talk to your higher self in this meditative garden, or into your spiritual room is also another place that you can work with your master guide or your higher self. Go into your spiritual room or your metaphysical garden and ask your higher self to put their hands on the back of your shoulders and take a deep breath. And then allow this energy to just start fusing into your being, fusing into your body. See where it enters. So for some people, they want to pull it down the crown or the third eye, and that is another way of doing it. But I like this merging with your higher self. It's just feel your higher self gently, just merging into who you are. You might feel more expanded in this presence. You might feel a slightly different vibration of who you are, or different energy, because it is slightly different than your unique energy of this lifetime. And just allow this merging to occur. And then really journal your experiences. And when you're done, just thank your higher self for the merging, come back into your own specific, unique energy of just who you are today. Like me, I'm Maggie today. And then over time, you'll notice that when you're doing readings or when you're practicing your psychic development, you're working with your mediumship, you can feel more of that merging energy and you can distinguish it. So this is a nice way to distinguish when you are fully merged with your higher self, when you are just working with different energies, and then you'll be able to pinpoint the different energies as they come in. So for a mediumship, it would be a loved one coming in. And you can allow some of that energy. Of course, you want your plastic bubble when you do this. You want your safety and parameters because this is not who you are. And you don't want to take this energy completely in. That's a whole nother way of doing channeling, but that's not what we're going to talk about today. We're just talking about soul merging. Now, if you want to practice mediumship without soul merging with a loved one on the other side, you can work with your higher self. So your higher self brings that vibration into your being so that you don't have to actually do that. And so that's why I really encourage the soul merging with the higher self so that your higher self can bring that information through to you. And it's just a really comfortable way to start merging, to start blending, to start feeling other energies outside of your uniqueness, so that it becomes a little bit more comfortable. When you're merging with your higher self, you might notice that you don't want your higher self to leave. And guess what? You don't have to, because it's who you are. And unifying who you are and merging with this higher self is part of the unification process, so that you can unify, you can feel the wholeness of who you are, because your higher self is the bridge between you and your oversoul. It's just a consciousness bridge that helps us as human becomings really step into our potential, into our abundant brilliance. And so once you start unifying with this higher self, you might say, okay, I am now really, really comfortable with this experience, and I want this all the time. I want this experience every day, because it's amazing when this blending occurs. And it opens up different levels of awareness into who you are. So give it a try and have some fun with it.
And I think the more that you discover that comfort and that connection as to who you are, for me, the more experiences that I've had, the more I've refined myself, the more I know my soul print of consciousness and the way I think and vibe and that. So it's been really beautiful, because it's empowered my soul to become a lot more effective, a lot brighter in my own way, to share that light and not dim it, but empower it, expand it, and amplify it. And when we can share that together and all maybe just get a different perspective, sometimes not better, worse, different is a very powerful connection. We can now work in this new direction of life, this eternal life, and that each step, remember, as I always say, we live our entire life in one breath. When we come in, we breathe in, and when we go out, we breathe out. The trick is to just breathe, and you will live. On another episode, we'll get into, there are so many more other adventures and experiences that I've had that's impressive, that's amazing, and that has allowed my soul growth to be incredible, to learn so much from these experiences.
So have fun with your psychic evolution. Have fun with this merging, this soul merging, whether it's with yourself and your higher self, or whether you're practicing this in a psychic read or a mediumship read. Remember to go back and to listen to the episodes of Empathic Awakening, Your safety rules and regs from season 1 and season 3, episode 5 also had some more safety rules and regs in very unique situations. So just go back and review that if you need to. If you're not familiar, if you're not comfortable yet, please resource yourself with our podcasts because that's what they're here for your psychic evolution. And you can check out our website if you want. That's psychicevolution.net. But I really will encourage you to join our Facebook group. We have Psychic Evolution Facebook group where we're building a really beautiful community so that we can share, we can talk about experiences. You guys can ask questions there. And of course, we bring some of the questions onto the podcast that we think could really support a lot of people. And we thank you so much for those questions. Keep them coming. We love the discussion. We love being here for you. So have fun with your psychic evolution, and we will see you soon. Now, if you are a super fan of the Psychic Evolution podcast, then I want to encourage you to join and be a patron on Supercast.
We'll be able to share even more information, more insight, and a lot of clips that maybe we haven't shown before.
And I must say, Jamie's blooper reels are out of this world. So anyway, check out our Supercast page, and thanks again for tuning in. And remember, this is all about evolution of your psychic senses.
Your psychic evolution.